An amazing webinar, the things that we wish we'd known before moving to Portugal, and that will be on the YouTube channel from 6 o'clock on Sunday, if I remember to do it this week, which I forgive me. I managed to get it out by webinar 9 last Sunday, but we'll do our best to have that available to you for a replay. People who are there tonight, I think, will want to watch it again because there was so much information. And those of you who weren't able to see it will be able to see it Sunday night at 6. So let's get underway and let's go straight to Daniel, if we may. Good evening to you, Daniel. How is it in the capital? Have you stayed at home to stay away from all the traffic, or have you gone into work?
I got into the city center. It was somewhat of mayhem today, but it was fun nonetheless. It was a lot of people, happy people. People from all over the world cheering. You saw a lot of flags, so it was a lot of noise, a lot of ruckus, but fun anyway. And the Pope is staying just nearby our office. It's almost at the same street where we are located. So I've never seen so many policemen in my life as I did in these 2 last days. So it's been the city. It's quite easy to travel inside the city today because there's no traffic. There's no people from Lisbon actually going to work. So it sounded a bit like the pandemic until you get to city center. Once you get into the city center, you do see it's not the pandemic times at all. So it's been fun, I would say.
Oh, incredible. So quite the atmosphere. Daniel here, of course, to answer any legal questions that you have this evening. And when the Pope arrived yesterday at the airport, he was greeted by the president of Portugal, who took him by both hands and actually shook him quite firmly. And it seemed to go on and on for quite a long time. Is he known for his firm handshake and that kind of greeting, Daniel?
He is. Well, all the times that I've greeted the president, he never done that to me. Although he does have a firm handshake, and I can certify that. But I do hope that the Pope has spoke with Nuno and has a good health insurance, because he may have his shoulder dislocated or something like that. So hopefully he got his health insurance in Portugal sorted out before he came.
So it's not just me, Daniel, is it? He did give him quite a vigorous welcome.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was happy to see the Pope. The president is indeed quite Catholic, but he almost got the visit ruined by dislocating his shoulder, I would say.
Well, of course, thank you, Daniel. We'll come back to you with legal questions. Nuno won't possibly be able to answer that in terms of confidentiality, but he will be able to say to us that great products are available for such occurrences. Should you meet the president of Portugal? Good evening to you, Nuno.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'm struggling with my camera, so I don't know why or how, but it stuck to the Prezi. So if something happened with my camera, so sorry for that. Okay.
No, well, we can see you. It's quite an interesting effect. Like I've either had a strange mushroom or the president of Portugal has given me a good shaking. You have. Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, good to see you. And again, you're in Lisbon, and you've remarked upon this incredible atmosphere that you have in the city at the moment.
Yes. So some people are talking badly about this event, and you cannot realize the atmosphere and the energy until being in the middle of all of these massive people. So yeah, it really is amazing. It really is. It's overwhelmed. I should say that to some people it could be transformative.
Yes,
transformative, because it's there are no words or adjectives. And I'm not talking because I'm Catholic. I'm Catholic because I'm born in Portugal on a Catholic family, point. Okay, so I don't think that Catholicism is the only way, no, at all. But actually this Pope, he don't talk to his church, he talk to the humanity,
right,
all the humankind. And this is what we really like about this man is not because he's the Pope, no. And well, in the end, it's all about people.
Yes.
Who is who? And he really is the best leader that Christianity had. So, and it's about this.
Wow.
Who is him and what are his values and beliefs? And it's a, I don't have words to explain.
No, thank you for sharing.
How I
that.
like to hear him.
Yeah, and it's beyond words, clearly, isn't it? It's beyond words.
Yeah,
But I think you have pointed us in the right direction tonight. So thank you very much for doing that. Much appreciated. On more mundane matters, however, like that's quite a crunch, isn't it, to go from the spiritual to the world of insurance. Any news from the industry?
Well, news from the industry. This is not new, but has less than 1 month, so like 3 weeks. But yes, to everyone that has a car in Portugal, so you don't need to use anymore the stamp on the front windshield. You don't need it, and also you don't need to have the Carta Verde, the insurance certificate printed. It's enough to have it in your mobile phone.
Yeah.
But remember that if it's not you who is driving the car, that person, the driver, should have the certificate with him or her. So it's about this. About the health guard assistance. The specific insurance that we tailor-made with an insurer to overtake the restrictions of all of the health insurance policies in Portugal. We have included also the palliative care with no extra cost. So
that's extraordinary. That's quite amazing. Yeah, what an amazing
improving.
Thank you for that update, Nuno. Yeah, that's wonderful news. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, and it's one of those rather sobering insurance products, but I think an incredible service that you're offering with that. And do get in touch, have a chat. Very approachable team. They're the kind of insurance company that won't leave you hanging on the telephone or only dealing with you online. You can talk to real human beings at Winsurance, winsurance.pt. I am safe at winsurance.pt. Thank you, Nuno, for being here tonight. Any questions about insurance, he's our man and he's here to answer them between now and 10 o'clock. So do get your questions in early. Some great comments coming in about what you said, Nuno. We'll come back to those after we've heard from Luis, who we haven't spoken to for a little while. Luis, how lovely to have you here from Global International Relocation. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Can you hear me well?
Loud and clear. Lovely to see you.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm wonderful as well. I'm very happy. I'm in the peak season of moving. You know, everyone moves in this time,
right.
And so yeah, it's been a bit crazy.
Luis, how is that? That like Portugal not only has the Pope here, it's a big event for the city. Portugal kind of closes down in August anyway. And it's your busiest time for moving people.
It's crazy. It's
what
crazy,
is that
right?
Like for you? Tell us a bit more about your average
for
day.
The last, I can tell you that for the last 14 years, I had probably 2 years that I spent the summer on vacation, like a week in August, because all the rest we have always been working. It's like that, you know, like all the moves happen really when school is off. You know, so because then they start school in September somewhere else, and so we need to do the packing during that time. So indeed, we are always with a lot of things going on. But as I told you before, like we were enlarging our warehouse and stuff, and now we have our 5,500 square meter. It's a big stuff. We have like a wonderful floor and all of that. So it's a wonderful moment for us. We are living a very interesting time. Like we are making lots of agreements with big companies, and I have just been in the US for a few weeks, where I was able to visit a few of our agents. You know, the people we work with. I was in California, I was in New York, and I was able to be in Pittsburgh, in Houston, Texas, and in a few places, you know, in the US, where we were making a lot of the agreement with our partners there, and a lot of good contracts. Portugal is becoming like this, not only for the Pope again, but for a lot of people, you know, coming into Portugal. A lot of hubs are coming into Portugal. And this is great news for us and for everyone who is coming to Portugal because
When you
it's
say hubs,
awesome.
you mean like business hubs, like companies?
Yes.
Right.
We are facing now like big companies looking at Portugal as, you know, Portugal could be, you know, our spot in Europe, you see, like, and that's amazing to see, because I see Portugal really from a logistics perspective as one of the main points that could be the main point for Europe, not only Rotterdam, you see, because we have one of the best ports as well in Sines.
Agreed.
So but we will see, you know, a lot of good stuff is happening, so I'm very confident about that.
These are things you've known pretty much all your life, and our Portuguese panelists in that have known all their life, and this is just the position of Portugal in global terms, in European terms. It's in relation to Africa. It's incredible, isn't it? And it looks like the world is waking up more and more to this, so that's great news. And I hope you get a rest in September, my friend.
I will, for a short period of time, but I will.
Anyway, lovely to see you again. And
awesome.
if you're traveling to the United States, or you're coming from the United States, you need dollars. Who better to speak to? Luis is recently back from the United States. Let's find out about what's going on in the currency world with Michael from Spartan FX. Good evening to you, Michael.
Hi guys, how's it going? Yeah, no, all good. Quite busy this end as well. Inflation and interest rates seem to be moving things a lot at the moment. So the Fed keep on raising rates, and euro dollar's moving a lot. It's back below 110 again, which is pretty good for guys moving from dollars into euros. So it's been quite a busy surge over the last week. It was only, we see how much it moves. Only sort of a couple of weeks ago, it was threatening 112, 113. It's a big old move in a short period of time. So
some people will have 110 as their threshold then to activate a purchase, possibly. And others looking for the golden age of parity once more. Are there any key dates we need to be looking out for where announcements will be made that can affect things drastically?
I mean, at the moment, it's just all led by inflation and interest rate decisions. So the Fed did another rate hike last week. So that's sort of every month. And then big US employment data, non-farm payrolls is the big one that the guys in the US generally follow. So they're sort of keeping an eye on it, but getting back to some reasonable, pretty good levels as well at the moment. So a lot of guys are taking advantage of that, whether it be to lock in now or to lock in on a forward basis if they don't need the funds for the next year or so.
Okay, brilliant. And a good time to have a chat with you, obviously, at Spartan FX. You can open a free currency exchange account with Spartan FX. Any questions at all about currency? It's not the only currency you deal in, of course. Others are available. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, we do pretty much every major currency. So there's no issue there. So and it's getting busy getting stuff done ready for me to go away, because I'll be heading to Portugal this weekend for my holidays. So
oh, wow. Okay.
10 days in Portugal. So
good for you. May I ask where you've chosen?
Porto, and then the Jura Valley. So we've got a villa in the Jura Valley for.
Do I hear then from that you're a bit of a wine connoisseur, possibly?
I am partial to a glass of wine from time to time. So we'll be going to a couple of vineyards during our time there. So
fantastic.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the rest.
I bet. And that might be some other advice you're giving out this evening then. It's good places to go in Porto and the Douro Valley. Thank you for being here, Michael. Much appreciated. Pleasure. Forgive me if I have it's a busy night tonight. If I've overlooked a Dream Team member in all the excitement this evening, just PM me or shout out. But we have Daniel here answering questions on the law and, of course, migration too. We've got Nuno on insurance, got Michael you've just heard from on currency, and of course Luis from Global International Relocation. We have a question for you already, Luis. Before we go there, just a few responses to what Nuno was saying, and a few shout outs from Texas. Barack is with us. Benoit from País de Gales. Oh, okay. Wales. That's yes, of course. Portuguese for Wales. País de Gales. And from Calgary, Connie, this evening. Good to see you, Laurie and Jean as well in the chat. San Francisco. Hi, Susie. Thanks for being here. Thanks everyone who's joined us for 2 webinars tonight. Appreciate it. And I'm not sure, Connie, if that's just a chat or if you want that shared between you and Laurie, but do let me know if you want that shared. Question then for Luis from Barak. Luis, do you help pack a home? How do we move paintings in frames? Is that something you do or give direction? We mainly have art, glass and paintings. The rest we're going to sell, no furniture. So the movement of paintings, is it like in a movie, a James Bond movie, where you Stanley knife the picture out of the frame, roll it up and stuff it into the back of your hood?
Well, that could be an option, but it's usually not like that. Okay.
Right.
So everything that is like an oil painting, usually it's not taken out of the canvas. Okay, so you have the frame, you will still keep it there. But what we do as a moving company, we usually do crates for them, wooden crates, fumigated wooden crates, so we can actually make that transportation in the best way possible. We do transport lots of artwork, and when I say artwork, I'm talking about famous people that painted, like a lot of art that costs like $100,000 or $500,000, 1 million, stuff like that, which you need to. A lot of people think that this is better to invest in art because it's always going to rise, than other stuff, other type of assets. And so art becomes a very important asset for us, in the way that we are transporting it. So not only the transportation, but the team that does the actual packing has to be a specialized team in art. Of course, then you have all the rest of the art that I also have in my house, like stuff that is cheaper and stuff like that. But all of those, the big difference is if you do have something very peculiar, you'll need to have some documentation to prove that it's an original and that you have certificates for that and all of that, and you need to transport that with those certificates. You see, that's a big difference in between, artwork that is very expensive and the rest that can be less expensive, but still good, still beautiful.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, and so specialist teams working on that. Fumigated crates, that's amazing. Which prompts
has to be.
Yeah, of course, to look after the artwork. And yeah, because this is quite a hostile environment. People forget that, don't they? If they experience being packed up in the United States, for example, and then unpacked in Lisbon, that doesn't really recognize, does it, the incredible voyage that their belongings go on in all sorts of weather conditions at sea.
No, and it's interesting because like a very small thing, like for instance, silk paper, which is one of the folding papers for artwork, it actually repels the paint, so it doesn't get stick. The paint will not get stick on the paper. You understand?
Very good. Yeah.
That's the interesting thing. Like you gotta wrap up a painting with the right materials. If you don't, then with the temperature, as you said, inside of a container can go up to 100 Celsius, degrees Celsius easily during the transportation. And if you go during the winter time, can go below some temperature as well, so there's fluctuation in temperature. So the wood will protect the items as well for that, because the wood will shrink or enlarge, like swollen within because of the temperature. Okay, so there's a lot of little things that we need to be aware when we are doing a transportation cross the ocean, you see, because
absolutely,
across Atlantic, there you go.
And that's not your only specialist department, of course. I think we should let everybody know that you have a pet shipping department as well. That's
yes, we do.
Of GIR. How's that going? Has volume of moving pets increased as well just recently?
Well, I can tell you what, or people stopped having kids, or the pets are just like popping up everywhere because it's amazing. Like there's so many pets today. And it's actually, in my perspective, do you guys know Baby Boss? I am a father.
Yes,
so
I do know
every father knows Baby Boss because our kids are always watching that stuff,
Yeah.
And so Baby Boss, it's actually interesting because they state that the animals are wanting to take over the world, and then the kids, you know, they don't have space anymore for that, the babies, you know. And it's not 100% true, but I see that today people have kids later and later on in life, you know. And with that, what's our first baby? It's the pet, it's the dog, it's the cat, it's someone, you know, that they need to start to take care for, that they need to, you know, walk them, they have the responsibility for, and then the kids come along. So so that's the funny part. And so yes, a lot of dogs, a lot of cats. And a very interesting fact, which is, in the old days, corporate accounts, you know, big companies like Philip Morris and big other companies, they would have an allowance for their employees just for them to take their belongings with them. So now the allowance is also to take their pets with them. So it's interesting. It's amazing how everything is flowing in that direction, you know.
It is
and
amazing.
most importantly is how you deal with this type of transportation, because when we look at transportation pets, we think about first the health of the pet. You know, we focus on the pet. We focus on how am I going to do this transport in the best way for the pet? And this is what we actually sell. You can have a lot of people doing pets transportation, and some of them will do it in a way, others in another way. Our focus is literally the pet, the health of the pet, to see if he's going to stay in good conditions, if he's going to have a nice trip with the best flight as well. Like there's a few airlines that are better than other ones when we're talking about pets. So all those little details are important for us in the way that we deal with that. Paperwork, very important, because then it means that the dog or the cat will wait longer or not, you see, because then they can be on a quarantine or not if we prepare well. So it's a few details that we need to be aware, but it's an amazing job because in the end of the day, it's not a move at all. We are talking about transporting a son, a daughter, you know, it's a part of the family. So it's much different, but it's a lot. So it's good.
Yeah. And the fur babies are in good hands then. That's great to know. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And very interesting to hear you're managing the process, the transition or the move of many more pets now. Great. So Barak, yes, you can get help packing the home in the United States end. As Luis said, there are agents over there in the States. He's told you how he's moved the paintings, and they will be crated and looked after. And you say no furniture. Just one more thing before we move on from pets. Is cats and dogs mainly, isn't it? Do you move other types of animals as well, or can you arrange that?
We are getting into that. Now we are starting with birds as well, like getting more information. We have a very good partnership now in that area. Until we get all the very good experience, we need to partner with people that already has it. Otherwise, we'll not give a good job, you see. So we are on that as well. But we have vets in our the two people that are working with us as the main coordination team, like they are all vets. And because logistics, we know that's our core business. We can teach logistics, but I cannot teach someone to be a vet. That they need to go to school for that, you see. So that's the important part, to know about pets. You understand? So that's our focus.
Incredible things happening at GIR. There's a very interesting culture in your company, isn't there? There's a lot goes on behind the scenes as well to keep the staff happy, and
it is.
Yeah.
Just before I came home, I just got a very nice massage in the office, which is today is the massage day, you know, like every Thursday we have like a therapist there. We can receive massage. We can, you know, be just to help us with our physical body, you know, not to be just standing all the time, and for us to do a lot of good stuff. So
that's really wonderful. And lots of other employees tonight are thinking, what? Wait, why don't I get that? You'll have to ask HR. Okay, so Barak, I think we've answered your question there. Comments about the Pope that were basically inspired by Nuno earlier on. I'm a born-again agnostic, says Laurie. I'm not sure. but absolutely love the current Pope. He's such a humanitarian. Agreeing with you, Nuno. I agree. I'm Catholic, but don't agree with everything the Catholic Church is doing. But I greatly admire Pope Francis and believe he is the Pope who most embodies the values of Christ. God bless him, says Jose. I was just about to ask a bank account question there, but there's another one from Connie. Pope Francis is a righteous man with a huge heart. I admire him and his desire to reach out across all religions and non-religions. I'm not Catholic, by the way. So thank you for that feedback. Thank you, Nuno, for beginning that. Laurie's asking a question. If you open and funded your Portuguese bank account for the D7, but won't be moving until mid-January, do you need to file Portuguese taxes, and will an FBAR be required for 2023 taxes if you won't be in Portugal until 2024? I think James is helping you with that. Daniel, did you want to add anything further to that question?
Well, I'll comment on the tax situation here in Portugal. And I think that James is basically on the spot when he states that the tax situation is connected with the obtaining the Portuguese residency. So basically, you need one of two things to be a tax resident in Portugal, or either you have the residency permit already issued, and then this is should be communicated to the Portuguese tax authorities, as it's not automatic. And from that moment on, you are considered a Portuguese tax resident and thus paying taxes on all income generated from that moment onward. Or if the residency is taking too long and it's convenient to change the tax residency after 6 months of being in Portugal, so after 6 months of the date of entry, the applicant can indeed change the tax residency to Portugal. Basically what happens with the majority of people is that indeed the residency comes first. But if it doesn't, and if the applicant needs to change the tax residency, it's indeed quite useful to know this 6 months rule. This sometimes creates problems with the changing of property to Portugal. So we're putting things in the container and sending them to Portugal, because indeed, to not pay VAT on the unloading of the property, the tax residency needs to be changed to Portugal. So sometimes this creates a bit of a problem with applicants, and Luis is probably able to comment on this way further than me. But I've had cases like this, that the clients are already in Portugal, the container is on their way, and the tax authorities are resisting changing the tax residency. And then we have a problem. It's either unload the container and pay VAT, or have the container in storage and wait for the tax residency to come out. So it's something that it creates a mess in some specific situations, unfortunately.
Wow, yeah, thank you, Daniel. Luis, do you want to add to that? I mean, you don't want to be in that situation that Daniel describes there.
Yeah, for sure.
Stop that.
And Daniel talked very, very well about that, because indeed, if that situation comes along, the best choice is, without even a thought, is just to pay taxes and duties and to get things into Portugal, because the cost of storage, even in if you call it in a bonded warehouse, is so high that then it makes it's just stupid to do it. You see, like, because you're going to pay your goods plus the taxes, because your goods are there just waiting for something that will release them in 2,000 euros, and then they will spend like probably 4,000, 5,000 in port charges. You see, so it's pointless to do that. It's important, that, and I do work with a lot of clients that are in this process in getting the residency, and only when they have the residency they can change then the fiscal number to a resident in Portugal. And this is the key question, is, so when do I do my move? And so I always advise our clients with the two options. If you are advanced in the process already, and if you already have the appointment with the CEF, just wait a little longer and then do the move. Or you can do the packing at the origin country, hold the goods there and store them there. Don't do the move, you see. Just store them there while you don't have the documents, and then ship them off. But again, it's always a question of numbers. If in the end of the day, we see that the cost of having my goods stored at origin, it's more expensive than to pay taxes and duties, and I will not have my goods for such a long time, like 3 to 6 months, then it's better for me just to ship everything to Portugal, have it here in a month time, pay taxes and duties, and then deliver to my house. You see, because that's the advantage Portugal offers, is that you can actually bring your goods anyway, you see. And of course, with taxes and duties, we always try to give, the lowest but the most reasonable value possible. It's not the insurance value, but we try to give the best value for the goods because it's calculated according to the value of the goods and the freight. They call this the CIF value, cost, insurance, and freight, okay? So it's important to know that cost, it's not really connected with the insurance that we do for our move, but literally how much do I say that my goods are worth to customs, you see? Because we declare to customs as well that by our honor that we are not going to sell our items. And this is important as well. Okay, so we make a commitment with customs that though we are paying taxes and duties, though I'm doing this, I'm not bringing into Portugal a commercial cargo. I'm actually not going to sell this. And this is the way that we get things into Portugal.
That's great. Thank you, Luis. Let's go back to Barak for a moment. Still not moving horses, just smaller animals. Can you help with horses now?
That is so funny. Well, I can try. As long as he asks me, I will do my best and I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I do have the means, okay? The means
Yeah.
we do have. We have the agents to support us at origin. We have the airplanes are not ours, so we do have them. Everyone has them. So then we can do that. That's not a problem.
There you go, Barak. Worth asking a question. A dream team session tonight, every Thursday at 9. We've got Daniel on law and visas. This evening, we've got Nuno on insurance. Luis, who you just heard from on shipping things to and from Portugal, incidentally. And Michael, who we'll return to now from Spartan FX, talking about currency. The credit rating, Michael, of the US has just been lowered. Do you think this will affect the exchange rates?
Yeah, so yesterday, Fitch, one of the credit agencies, downgraded the US from AAA rating to AA. The White House wasn't particularly happy about it, but it's to do with the US debt ceiling. So essentially, they kind of have it. The US government seems to run out of money nearly every month, and the US debt ceiling is getting out of control. And they're a bit concerned how that's going to be dealt with over the next sort of 2 to 3 years. So they lowered their credit rating down. Had a bit of an impact on the dollar initially, but nothing too major. So it's kind of been sort of shrugged off. There's quite a few rating agencies, so it's not just one. There's quite a few across the board. So it's just one of them that's downgraded the US. So yeah, short term, bit of an impact, but long term, they're not seeing it as a major concern.
But these agencies are clearly influential, and you say that's a bit of a habit, is it? The United States runs out of money most months, like most people.
The government. So yeah, there's sort of government shutdowns on quite a relatively regular basis, and then it needs more funding, which increases the debt ceiling, and it's kind of in a bit of a vicious cycle.
Right, okay.
So yeah, that's why Fitch did their doubt, or part of the reason why they downgraded them yesterday.
Thank you for your insight on that. There you go, El Karan, who's asking another question. This is for you, I think, Luis. If I get tax residency in Portugal in 2024 and want to wait to move household goods here in 25, do I have to pay taxes and duties?
So the rule says that for you not to pay taxes and duties, for you to be free of paying those taxes and duties, you gotta be in the country with being a resident less than a year. Okay, so if you cross 1 year time, and you said 2024, but you could say that you'll get the tax residency in, imagine, March or June, and then you will move. You could move until January of next year. You understand? Because it needs to be 12 months. As long as you are within the 12 months, you are okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Luis. That's for you, El Karan. Let's go to Daniel, our lawman. Daniel, was advised to put money in escrow at the Caixa. Box checked is conditional. I think this will mean more to you than many of us here. Wrong advice from a lawyer who is now disbarred. This was in escrow since 2019. How long till I can withdraw the money since landlady not disputing this amount? So it looks like, there's no dispute here, but it's been difficult extracting the money. Where does Allegra stand on this?
Well, it's from my understanding, this is something connected with the rental agreement. And indeed, when there's a dispute on a rental agreement, the tenant should, let's say that someone is trying to kick the tenant out of the property and the tenant disagrees and the law is on his side. And the landlord is not accepting the money. So the tenant transfers the money and the landlord transfers the money back to try to terminate the contract and so on. It's quite normal that you do create an escrow account in the Caixa Geral de Depósitos, CGD, and deposit the money over there and have the money available for the landlord whenever the dispute terminates. But if there's no dispute, you should be able to reach the money out. If there's no legal action in the court, the money should be withdrawn unless the landlord has a right to reach that money. So this would need to be assessed, and I would need to have the full details out of the situation so I can provide correct advice. But in general terms, indeed, it's the normal situation to have money in escrow in CGD when a rental dispute is ongoing.
And 2019 this dates back to. I mean, what are the worst case scenarios here?
Well, the money, if the landlord is entitled to have the money, he can withdraw the money after this is sorted out in court. But I do have situations connected with rental agreements in court that have lasted 3 or 4 years. So indeed, the pandemic stalled the courts, and the law that stopped evictions in Portugal is still ongoing. And this law is connected with the pandemic, and it was not yet revoked. So we are facing a lot of problems to evict people that are not paying rents because of this law. It's a nuisance at the current moment because it's been extended for so many years.
My goodness. Okay, Allegra, did you want to come on screen and ask a particular question? Are you happy to do that? We are streaming. Yes. We're streaming live on YouTube and we are broadcasting. So do bear that in mind. And yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
I'll do it really quickly. So there was a problem with the apartment and I decided to leave because they weren't fixing things up. And so I decided to leave, and I decided that I wanted to put the money in escrow because I'm the one who terminated. I decided to terminate the contract. So my lawyer told me, well, put it in escrow so you cover yourself. But this lady is not disputing this money. She's not even asking for it. I don't even know if she knows that that's in escrow. So can I actually go to the bank and take it out, or how long? Surely there must be a time period where if the landlady does not ask for it, surely I should be able to get the money, Daniel.
But when the money that you put in escrow was to cover what? It was cover.
It was for a month. It was for one of the month, my last month that I was going to be there.
Okay. And this was more than the deposit that the rental agreement had, correct?
That was 1 month. That was 1 month rent. Yeah. So there were a lot of problems, and I decided I didn't want to stay there anymore, and I was going to put that money in there and move out. And so anyway, the lawyer who badly advised me is now being disbarred. But meanwhile, I've got a lot of money that's sitting in the bank, and nobody's getting it. Can I get it out? I mean, it's 1,900 euros. It's not peanuts.
Have you contacted the CGD agency and tried to withdraw the money?
Who, you mean the bank, the Caixa?
Correct.
No. Do you think I should just try and get the money out?
Definitely. Contact the agency of Caixa Geral where you deposited the money, say that there was no dispute and that you wish to withdraw the money, and see what's their conclusion on the topic.
Huh. Okay.
There you go. How about that, Allegra?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Daniel. If not, I'll contact Daniel so I can get some of that money back.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And you can
of
do that
course.
in the business directory of expatsportugal.com. Thank you very much, Allegra. Thank you, Daniel, for answering that question. Good
Thank
evening.
you so
everybody.
much, Daniel.
Cheers, Allegra. Good luck with
Cheers.
that. Douglas Hughes is over on YouTube. And have I missed some chat here? Forgive me if I have. Mr. S saying it was very expensive. I'm not sure what they're talking about, but we'll take their word for it. Alan Donovan, hello from sunny San Diego. Nicole, hello to you, the Soldad Life. Hey, friends, good evening to you. Great to have you here. Botardo from Aligned Dreams. This is a question for Gilda, which I'm hoping Daniel will be able to take for us this evening. I am working with EI and wanted to know if there's an accountant on your team that can talk to me about the digital nomad social security contributions. Any updates? It's an outstanding question, generally speaking, isn't it, Daniel, this social security situation?
It is. It's been going back and forth, connected with the digital nomad situation. Indeed, EI does recommend an accountant that they work with, and the guy is well, he is versed in English-speaking clients. So my advice is to send an email to the person that you are contacting within EI and request the contact out of the accountant, and you will touch base on the situation and provide guidance on the topic.
Brilliant. Thank you, Daniel. There you go. Aligned Dreams, who's also asking in the YouTube chat. Another question for the team. There are online banks in the US offering up to 4.5% interest on savings accounts. Are there any banks in Portugal offering similar rates? And which banks do you all use? Bit of a personal question there. You may or may not wish to answer this, the Portuguese panelists tonight. And you're obviously not banking professionals. You're not giving financial advice here, but I guess you're speaking from personal experience as citizens. There's nowhere offering 4.5% in Portugal, is there? No, says Daniel. Right.
Not at all. If you do find a bank that is offering that type of rate, let me know, because I'll put my money over there. No, not a chance. Unfortunately, Portugal has been one of the countries with the lowest interest rates in all Europe. So I don't think that that type of offer will be possible in Portugal whatsoever.
Why is that, Daniel? Why have we got some of the lowest interest rates here?
Greedy banks.
Okay, there you go. Simple answer. Neil, hello from Sheffield, UK. My wife and I, another visa question here, are planning to move to Portugal next year. My wife is an EU citizen and I have passive income. So would you recommend D6 or D7 visa for me? What are the pros and cons of each? Of course, the D7, known as the passive income. What is the D6?
No. You don't need any type of D6 or D7 visa. You have the perfect situation. As you're married with a EU citizen, your wife should come to Portugal, register herself as a EU citizen living in Portugal, and then you can do family reunification via the Article 15, and boom, you got yourself a residency permit without the need of any consulates or whatsoever. So don't be bothered with requesting a visa, because you don't need to. That's you have a really good situation in your hand. No need to be just applying to the consulate.
That's fantastic. There's a hack right there. What is the D6 though, Daniel?
To be honest, I have no idea.
I don't recognize the D6 there with its
Neither do I.
abbreviation, its acronym. But anyway, you don't need it, Neil. Great news is in Sheffield tonight, and I think you might have a pint of water.
Neil did clarify it's not D6, it equals family reunification. I thought CEF appointments take a long time. They do take a long time, but at least your wife will be sorted out in 3 or 4 days, depending on the municipality that you end up choosing to live. Yeah. And even waiting for the appointment, it's worthwhile then to get all the process with the consulate. So for everyone that has the possibility of not dealing with a Portuguese consulate, my advice is have the process done here in Portugal. Even if CEF does take time, and it does, have your expectations low on CEF's timelines, unfortunately. But even though it's way less bureaucratic than to deal with consulates.
Yeah, because you're not, if you're doing family reunification, as you say, you're going to a local government office. You're not going to the CEF offices.
You are going to CEF. So for the registry as a EU citizen of the wife, this is done directly within the municipality.
Right.
The family reunification is done directly with CEF, but the process is done already in Portugal. No need to just request the visa in the consulate and then the residency permit in Portugal. It's a one-step procedure.
Brilliant. Okay, and I will stay with you for this one from El Quran. Can a D7 retiree establish a business after coming to Portugal? It's often known as the passive income, but it's not by no means exclusively passive income. You can start a business, can't you, on a D7?
Yes, we've actually incorporated quite a lot of companies for D7 clients that once they get into Portugal, they see a business opportunity and they do like to incorporate a company here. So there's no any type of legal impediment that will stop you to incorporate a company in Portugal or elsewhere and have that to complement your income in Portugal.
Absolutely brilliant. And there you go, Neil, coming back to you. The route then is to have your wife, the EU citizen, register locally and to reunify. And on that note, of course, pints of Wards all round, the local brew there, or a splash of Henderson's relish in celebration there with that good news from Daniel. iPhone asking from their iPhone, we don't know who this is, who this person is, but they're asking from an iPhone on Zoom, can you please clarify that if I'm an EU citizen, the process of settling is much easier? It is, isn't it?
Way more easy. The procedure depends a bit on the municipality where you end up living. The thing that the municipality wishes to see is a proof of address, and this is usually a rental agreement or a proof of ownership of a property if a property is indeed purchased. Some municipalities, like the Porto municipality, are requesting that the EU citizen stays in Portugal for more than 3 months, and then they are allowing the registry as a EU citizen to be done. Some other municipalities don't have this rule, and as long as you provide the proof of address, they will do the procedure within the same day. So it varies a bit from municipality to municipality. In Lisbon, they are requesting to have a booking done previously. But the majority of other municipalities, you just show up with your passport, with the proof of address, and you do the registry of the EU citizen. So it's way more faster than any other type of procedure to get a residency permit in Portugal. But the residency permit is a bit odd because it's just a sheet of paper with the EU stars and the address and the name of the applicant. So it's not a physical card like a debit card. It's just an A4 sheet of paper.
That's likely to change in the future, isn't it? I suspect, but that's how it is for now.
Yes, it's like that for the present moment. I've heard some rumors regarding having a physical card, but not yet implemented. So let's wait and see if that is a reality for the future.
Well, let's face it, Daniel, they've got enough on their plate at the moment, haven't they, without worrying about that. With people coming from the EU, and Judith is saying she's from London. That's iPhone user is Judith. Hopefully you are staying in London and you are an EU citizen, because of course, being a Brit in London will not make you an EU citizen anymore. For those previously who managed to get in before it changed, and for EU citizens who have shown up, as you say, to a local office and declared themselves as living in Portugal and claiming residency, how often, this is a question that somebody asked me, and I can't remember where it was now, but for how long or how much of the year does that person have to be in Portugal to maintain their Portuguese residence?
The criteria is the same as the D7 and all that. So it's 8 months every 2 years. That criteria that is a bit off. But let's have the tax residency criteria because it's simpler. 6 months per tax year. If you stay 6 months in a day, you are fulfilling the criteria of the tax department as well as the residency permit department. So as long as you stay more than 6 months per year in the country, you will be in the clear.
Okay. And if you don't, I mean, how is that discovered anyway?
Well, it may not be discovered and you may fly under the radar, especially because the freedom of movement in Portugal in Portugal, inside the EU, you can just get into your car and get into the other side of Europe, and no one will know.
Yes.
But if any suspicions do arise that the person is indeed not living in Portugal, the documents can be requested to renew the card. So the first residency permit is valid for 5 years, and then the renewal is done directly with CEF. And if they have any questions regarding the renewal of this residency card, they will basically request documents of the permanence in Portugal. So medical reports, the filing of taxes, any documents that connect the presence, that demonstrate the presence of the person here. So this may occur, and we don't advise people not to stay less than 6 months here, because if any suspicions do arise, they should have the correct paperwork to demonstrate to CEF at the time of the renewal that indeed the person is staying in the country.
That's great. Thank you, Daniel, for answering that. I'm an American citizen married to an EU citizen who has a EU and a Dos Cunhados Freguesia certificate of residency. I have a request for a CEF appointment for my Article 15 family reunion process. If I choose to work, am I allowed to now before getting residency, or do I need to wait until I receive my residency, or am I not allowed to work at all? That's a great question.
It is indeed. This is somewhat in that gray area that the delays of CEF do create. But if the work is working remotely to the US or to any other country, I would say this is not a problem whatsoever. The problem may be working to a Portuguese company, because the Portuguese company, if they are harboring people that are not that don't have the correct paperwork, they may be fined. But as long as the correct paperwork is there to support the situation, and this is a work contract that is properly done, the demonstration that the booking is already done, or that you're waiting for the booking to be released within CEF, the proof of the registration of the EU citizen within the municipality. And there's one thing that Jose is telling here, that he has a certificate from a dos Cunhados Freguesia. Usually the EU certificate is done within the municipality, and a dos Cunhados is a junta de freguesia. So having the registry, or let's call it the certificado de residência, or the residency certificate, is different from having the EU residency certificate. So the first thing that you should look is the paperwork that you have. Does it have the EU stars? If it does, it's the correct document, and this is the EU registry of your wife. If it doesn't, this is just a normal residency certificate, and it's not the correct paperwork. So double check that to see if the correct paperwork was obtained at the time. Again, touching on the question, if the contract is done properly to a foreign citizen, and it has some nuances that they will need to be developed. If the correct paperwork is within the company headquarters, if any inspection does occur within CEF, they will not pass any fines. But basically the paperwork needs to be correct, and the proofs that they are just waiting for the booking will need to be displayed as well. If this is the case, then no harm done. If this is not the case, then fines may be applied to the company. That's why some companies are a bit wary of hiring people that they still don't have their residency permit.
Wow, brilliant, comprehensive answer. I'm sure that's very helpful to Jose. That's everything on Zoom, apart from Peder, who was in the webinar earlier on. País de Gales, of course, the word for, or the words for Wales. Peder, good evening to you. Thank you for being here on Zoom. And we do prioritize the questions on Zoom, and we are running out of time tonight. So I do apologize for not getting to them all over on YouTube. There is one interesting question that I do want to put to Daniel, though, because it's a general question that's very interesting. And we've got our fun question to conclude with tonight. But I think we need to cut back to Nuno, who put his hand up earlier on. And I think that's in relation to the question asked about the cancellation of insurance, right, Nuno?
No, it's not about that.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you want to add something else?
Yeah, it's just following the comprehensive Daniel's answer regarding for how long you could stay abroad Portugal.
Yeah.
And Daniel touched on the key point, which is as long as you stay under below the radar, so you are okay. But be aware of, and this is basic, but be aware of what you post on the social media, because authorities, they are not checking social media. But if you pop up on their radar, they will check all of the channels that they can to see and to check the information.
Very
And
interesting.
if you have stayed for more than what is supposed to stay abroad Portugal or not.
So like
are very noisy, other are very low profile.
very interesting, Nuno. So if there's a Brit on there who has Portuguese residency but keeps posting on Facebook, it's so cold and wet here in UK. They're pretty much giving the game away there, aren't they? That's a very interesting point. Thank you for that. Let's stay with you for El Karan's question about does Wise, I think you're talking about Winsurance rather than Wise Insurance here. Does Winsurance have an age limit? Can you cancel clients? Simple question.
Yes, people, policyholder are allowed to cancel the insurance policy, all of the insurance policies, on the annual renewal date. So I believe that he could be talking about health insurance. All of the health insurance are annual contracts, annual. So you cannot cancel in the middle of the annuity of the insurance policy, usually. But you are allowed, all of the policyholders are allowed to cancel the insurance policy on the annual renewal date.
Okay, there you go, El Karan. Thank you for that, Nuno. Wonderful. We just got a minute or two left now. We were a little slow in starting, so perhaps we can go a couple of minutes over. And we'll start with you, Daniel. We opened up with you tonight. Let's go to you first as we conclude tonight. What's this then? Hey, Daniel, is it true that an anti-nomad spirit is growing in Portugal nowadays? And if so, why is that the case? Do you think that's true?
Well, I think that the main problem is habitation, especially in Lisbon and Porto. There's a lot of young people being pushed out of the city, and they see sometimes foreigners that have way more financial capability as the cause for this. So I don't think that there's a strong movement against foreigners. Portugal is still a really good and welcoming country for foreigners, but the main feeling that I'm sensing in the Portuguese society is that people cannot afford a rent or to buy a property, especially people in their 20s or 30s. So they cannot move their parents' house, or if the rental agreement that they have is terminated, now they need to move 50 or 60 kilometers away from Lisbon because they simply cannot afford the rent with the income that they have. So that's the main problem. But this is an economic problem that should be sorted out by the Portuguese authorities, especially creating council housing or housing that is affordable for the lower middle class. And this is not the problem of the foreigners. This is an internal problem and the lack of social housing that Portugal has.
Well said, Daniel. And not all nomads are wealthy by any means, are they? You know, their lifestyle is something, yes, but their economic situation would vary from person to person. But among those wealthier nomads, perhaps they can address the situation in some way and help lobby the government. And I suspect some of them, I mean, they tend to be very switched on people and very politically aware. So I suspect they are very capable of addressing this situation and putting their point across. It's a global issue, isn't it?
Correct. It is indeed a global issue, but I think that the government is messing up the situation with the golden visa, as we discussed quite a lot. Yeah. Because if they wanted to create, for instance, houses for low rents, why not use the golden visa for that, for houses to be built up with golden visa applicants, and then with a capped rent for people to be able to afford that. So this would be a good way of using private investment for the benefit of the population, but I think it was a lost opportunity, to be honest.
And cynically speaking, I'm sure politicians are quite happy for digital nomads to take the heat rather than themselves.
Oh yeah, definitely, because it's an scapegoat,
Yes.
and not the correct one, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Correct.
So, Mr. S, Natalie, Angel, Chris, sorry if I didn't get to your comments or questions. Gloria as well over on YouTube. By way of consolation, Aligned Dreams as well. If you haven't had an answer tonight, which I know some of you haven't because we've run out of time, do go to the Expats Portugal forum and ask your question there. Better still, sign up as a member and get priority treatment and come through on the Zoom call. We go to the questions in our Zoom chat, which is made up of Expats Portugal members over here on the Zoom side of things. And I will get to as many YouTube questions as I can, but we were very busy tonight and time has flown by. And I just want to get to this last question for each of our panelists. A good question was asked earlier on, and it was a personal one about which banks do you all use. I'm not going to ask you which bank you use, but I'm going to ask you what your favorite bank is, if that's not a contradiction in terms. And I will start with you, Daniel. What would you recommend to a foreigner coming in, opening a bank account?
Well, I use Millennium BCP for the company with good results. On the private level, I use Novo Banco or NB. I've had a bad experience with Santander, so I would steer away from them. And that's basically my 3 opinions on banks. And if possible, keep the money in the mattress.
Brilliant advice. Do you agree? Thanks for everything tonight, Daniel, as well. Brilliant, sage advice there from start to finish. Nunu, the mattress? Have we still got Nunu with us? What's your recommendation on the banking front, Nunu?
I'm so sorry. I'm connecting the
no problem.
micro.
It's all the noise outside, isn't it? A noisy Lisbon tonight. You've muted up very considerately for us.
No, well, banks could be pretty similar like politics. Choose one and cross fingers.
I love this moment. He said so much by saying so little right there. Luis, thanks, Nuno, for being here tonight. Luis, what about you?
Well, the banking situation in Portugal, it's since I was a kid, it's pretty much what Nuno said, I just moved from bank to bank, and like for my house, I just change my credit to the bank that gives me the lowest rate. That's what I do, so I just try to negotiate with them. But yeah. Portuguese banks are not that bad, I would say. I don't use them. I have a Spanish one.
What an admission late in the day here. But, yeah, I mean, basically what you're saying, right, is you go where the best deal is. It's nothing to do with the brands.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, they are reliable, some. but the thing is, I believe that everything that happened with Novo Banco, the other bank before, everything was a bit rough on people, and I believe that Caixa Geral de Depósitos is probably like the most trustable bank. Like Millennium BCP, I closed my account there for like a year ago, and they still call me today asking me about my account. So what can I tell you?
Tell us a lot. You tell us a lot.
Exactly.
By sharing
it's weird. It's weird,
Thanks, Luis. So good to see you again. All the best to you. Lucky man, having a massage at work as well. That didn't go on.
After work.
After work, and all the best to your colleagues there. Michael, you can't answer that question, can you, at Spartan FX? But I have got another.
Yeah, I mean, can a little bit. With ourselves, they do get a named currency account, so they will have a euro account in their name, which they can use that facility for an interim period. And just quickly on the sort of getting good rates of interest at the moment, you can actually fix the exchange rate for say 12 months. With a 10% deposit, so your exchange rate's fixed, then the rest of your funds are actually staying in the US for another year. So you can get the benefit of the interest on your savings in the US, but have a fixed exchange rate on your euros, especially when it's still perceived as a reasonably good a good level. So
fantastic. So
yeah,
it's
that's
a
definitely
solution from the UK in the form of Spartan FX there. Have a chat with the team. Probably not Michael within the next few days because he's off on holiday to Portugal, but there will of course be members of staff there who will be able to talk to you and open up a free currency account. That's a great solution and a great answer, Michael. My question to you, because I didn't think you would know a lot about Portuguese banks, was what's your favorite port? Is it Ruby, Tawny or Whiteport?
I'm not a massive port drinker actually so I think I will have a better answer for you the next time I come on here.
Looking forward to that already, mate. Have a great trip to Portugal and have a wonderful time over here. I know how you bought your euros, obviously. Thank you so much, Michael. All the best to the team in Spartan FX in the UK. Thank you to all our Dream Team panelists tonight. Jackie, you there with a final word to wrap things up?
No, I want to thank you for some really great advice tonight, especially that last piece about, because I'm American, keeping your money in a bank in the US and just holding the exchange rate. You know, I think that's a brilliant piece of advice. Yeah. And also from our Pelicano, Reese Pelicano, our lawyer, Daniel, also some really outstanding advice about, you know, the D7 visa and having what was it?
Starting a business.
No, it wasn't starting a business. It's a little bit late for me. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I am so sorry. I just drew senior. I just drew a blank.
You're forgiven. The atmosphere in Cascais and Lisbon at the moment is very heady. And I imagine you haven't been able to get to the bakery to get your pão de doce, which other people have been depriving you of. I hope that situation is put right soon. It's all going to be very quiet again. Suffice to say,
I remembered. It's family reunification. Thank you, Daniel.
Sorry, say that again.
And thank you for being so forgiving of my moments.
Well, suffice to say, Daniel's awesome. Findable in the Expats Portugal Business Directory. Raising Pelicano, as you say, Jackie, for the law practice there. Anything else you want to say, Jackie, about forthcoming attractions on Expats Portugal?
Just that about tonight, I thought was amazing. I thought our dream team was amazing. It was really nice to hear from our removalist company because that was a lot of great information about moving pets and how that has all really changed too. How many people are now moving their pets. And I think those are pandemic pets, and my guess is.
Pandemic pets to Portugal. That's a nice alliteration to finish with. So join us again. Thanks, Jackie. And join us again next Thursday evening, 7:30 for the webinar, and then the Dream Team session like this thereafter. Sorry I've kept you, gentlemen. You've been amazing tonight. So we'll end it there. And thank you very much. Ciao, ciao. Boa noite.
Bye.